Welcome back to the deep dive. So we're moving off the comparisons we looked at last time and right into, well, the main event, the core report itself.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we have one very specific mission.
And what's that?
We want to take those big high-level claims made about the system, slogans like unique and world leader, and immediately test them.
Test them against what the report itself says.
Yes, against its own language detailing the capacity constraints, the stress factors, and all the risks. We're tracking that tension.
Right. And for you, the listener who's watching the source material with us, the rule is strict.
Very strict. We're only reading the exact highlighted lines. The document has to speak for itself. Its internal conflicts have to speak for themselves.
We're not offering opinion. We are logging the evidence. Okay, let's unpack this. So let's start at the top. This claim of uniqueness. Where exactly does the report say that, and what's the basis for it?
It's right there in the plain English summary, which is, designed to be the easy overview for the public.
Yep.
And the statement defines unique not by the quality of the service today, but really just on its historical context and its scale.
And what's the precise wording?
It reads, and I'm quoting here, "Home share in British Columbia is unique in that institutions have been closed for some time, and home share is the largest community living option, a situation that doesn't exist in any other jurisdiction."
Okay, so that's a crucial distinction right there.
It is.
The claim to being unique is based on a history closing institutions a long time ago, and just the sheer size of the home share model. It's about structure, not necessarily, superior operation.
Precisely. It gives us that frame. But then almost immediately after establishing this context of being the largest option and therefore carrying the largest burden, the authors pivot.
They pivot to what they call what makes home share hard to do well.
Exactly.
And this is where we need to log the reality of the system right now.
Hmm.
What are the authors actually stating are the foundational issues?
Well, the list is blunt, and these are all specific, highlighted bullet points from that summary. They start with the user experience.
Okay.
Quote, "People don't feel that they get much choice."
Limited choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that suggests the system, despite its scale, isn't really meeting individual needs. That's a huge stressor right there.
It is. And the second point really supports that. It's about planning quality. It says, there is less help for people who get help from CLBC to make a plan for their life. Individualized planning.
For context, CLBC is Community Living British Columbia, the main government agency here.
Right. So weak planning means weak outcomes.
So we have limited choice, we have weakened planning.
What about the actual capacity? You said the scale defined its uniqueness, but how is that scale holding up?
That's the third and fourth point. And this is where the stress becomes very concrete. The report states the scale of the demand.
And that is?
Quote, there are around 1,000 new people who are on a list to live in home share.
1,000 people. 1,000. And then the capacity gap. There are not enough people who want to host home share to help everyone live in the community.
Wow. So 1,000 people waiting and an explicit admission that the system just doesn't have the hosts to meet that demand. I mean, that is the definition of a system pushed past its limits.
Yeah, it is.
You can't be a unique success if you're failing a 4-figure waiting list.
And the section concludes by just bringing it all together. It delivers this definitive summary on the state of things.
It is.
The review team heard that home share and CLBC are under stress and things need to be better.
That explicit phrase, under stress, that is the critical counterpoint to unique, isn't it? It tells us the system's size is now a threat to its stability.
It is. But it's not just about numbers, it's about the human element. The evidence cards, which were based on public input, they showed what people really wanted.
And what was that?
They wanted the system to stop seeing them as just, a file. The input said people aren't just asking for more rules, they're asking for better support, stronger relationships, and real accountability.
A system that sees the whole person, not just a file.
Exactly.
That desire for stronger relationships and accountability, it suggests that service quality is already degrading.
It does. And the authors felt they had to include this very direct warning about the system's future.
What was the warning?
Quote, "However, we remain deeply concerned about the sustainability of shared living and the erosion of a strong relational focus being replaced with a transactional one."
That phrase, the erosion of a strong relational focus being replaced with a transactional one. Here's where it gets really interesting. It implies that all this pressure, the underfunding, it's forcing everyone to just focus on paperwork, on compliance.
Yeah.
not on high-quality supportive relationships.
It turns quality of life into just checking boxes, and the report frames that erosion as a direct threat to the sustainability of the whole model.
Okay, let's move on to the most ambitious claim we're tracking. World leader. Where do we find that in the main report?
So the first claim about their global influence is stated verbatim, like this. BC has been a world leader in developing and growing the home share model.
And what about its influence on other places?
That sentence follows right after. Other provinces and countries are also learning how to help people live in home shares.
So this is the critical juncture. The report makes this bold claim, world leader. Others are copying us. So what does the text right next to it say about the system's ability to actually uphold those standards?
Well, this is where the juxtaposition is immediate, and frankly, it's stark.
Okay.
Right next to the leadership claim, the report points out a fundamental gap in just enforcing their own standards.
Tell us the exact highlighted quote about staffing.
It says, but there are not enough staff to do and check everything that is written in the standards.
Hang on. So it claims world leadership in developing the model.
Yes.
But in the very next breath, admits a core failure in basic execution. Not having enough people to even monitor the standards they set.
That's the conflict.
I mean, how can you claim to be a world leader when you can't resource the fundamental function of making sure things are being done right?
It's the conflict between the narrative and the documented reality of implementation. And this capacity issue, it feeds right into accountability. The document then calls out this transparency gap.
What's the precise quote on needing more transparency?
It's very specific. Quote, greater transparency and public reporting of both safety and quality in home share is needed to support accountability and build trust.
So the review team found that trust is not currently being built and accountability is not being fully supported.
Because the reporting on safety and quality just isn't there.
If you're a world leader, your processes have to be auditable, transparent, trusted, and the report is admitting, right here, that they're not.
The internal document provides the skepticism you need to analyze the external claim. The high claim of world leader is immediately qualified by the system's own admission of, well, inadequate resources and insufficient reporting.
And this brings us to what might be the most significant finding in the entire document, the part that explicitly links money to risk.
This is where the report shifts from just identifying gaps to identifying an existential threat. They frame underfunding not just as some administrative problem, but as a direct threat to people's safety.
How exactly do they frame that? The link between inadequate funding and risk.
The finding is extremely powerful and unambiguous, they state. The review found that it does not matter how good the rules and people checking the rules are. If there is not enough money to support people with disability, then they will be at more risk.
That's the core finding right there.
It is.
It's saying that all the compliance, all the monitoring, it's basically useless if the system is starved for cash. Vulnerability is tied directly to the budget, not the paperwork.
And they doubled down on it. To reinforce that point, they have a follow-up quote.
Okay, what is it?
Even the best of monitoring and safeguards cannot protect against vulnerabilities created by an underfunded system.
So if we were to unpack that, it's basically saying that all the procedures, all the protections you'd expect a world leader to have, they're rendered ineffective if the system doesn't have the funds.
The financial vulnerability creates the risk. It doesn't matter how many rules you write down. It is the most critical structural weakness they identify.
Now, let's pivot and look at the constraints that were placed on the review itself, because these limits are also part of the official document. First, public input.
Right. So, when looking at how the public could give input, the report notes, public submissions via the ministry email line, approximately 20, were received by the ministry and forwarded on a basis as appropriate to the review team.
Okay, that one detail highlights two things for you, the listener. First, the input went through the ministry. It wasn't a direct, independent line to the reviewers.
Right.
And second, the volume, approximately 20. For a system of this size, that is a tiny pool of formal public feedback.
The process and the low volume put a real limit on the breadth of voices heard. But, maybe the most fascinating piece of internal conflict comes when we look at the review's scope versus its most crucial finding.
The funding risk.
Exactly. Funding is named the #1 risk driver. But what was explicitly excluded from the review's mandate?
What was it?
The report says the recommendations are these 5 key directions, but then immediately notes this constraint. MSDPR told the review team that the amount of money paid to home share providers is not part of the review.
That is a fascinating disconnect.
Isn't it?
The report says safeguards can't protect against underfunding, that not enough money creates risk, yet the mechanism for paying providers, a primary financial part of the system, was off limits for investigation.
It creates a documentation paradox. The review clearly sees the problem, but it was structurally blocked from analyzing the tools that might actually solve it.
So today's deep dive really did achieve its goal. We located the big claims, unique and world leader, and we tested them right against the report's own self-identified evidence.
And we found them consistently tempered.
Tempered by evidence of massive wait lists, chronic underfunding, a lack of staff to enforce standards, and serious limits on public accountability and transparency.
And the authors, after laying out this deep conflict, they concluded with a call for immediate action. They state it clearly. This report tells everyone that important changes need to happen fast.
This raises an important question.
Mm-hmm.
Why should you, the learner, care about this intense conflict, this tension between the story of a successful pioneering program and the documented reality of stress and risk?
It's a key question.
Well, the tension we tracked here, between the polished slogan and the sobering internal findings, that's the signature of most major policy challenges everywhere. It tells us that success is often claimed by looking at the past, while sustainability is threatened by what's happening right now.
And tracking this juxtaposition, it's the only way to genuinely understand the difference between, policy ambition and operational reality.
Next time, we're going to continue this precise, quote-based deep dive into the main report. Same rigorous method. We'll follow the evidence, focusing on recurring themes and recommendations for individual planning, guardianship supports, and health supports. We'll keep tracking what the document says is evidence, what it frames as risk, and what it defines as outside its scope. So what does this all mean?
We'll find out.
We'll find out as we continue peeling back the layers of this document.